So the last video that I posted is about the 5 benefits of working in a telco accounts. If you haven't watched that video, I'll put the link in the description box down below. But to be fair, what I'll be sharing with you in this content is about the 5 disadvantages in working in a telco account. And if you're a newbie, this is not to warn you or to scare you, but to guide you. Okay, so let's go ahead and start with the first con that I noticed. And by the way, these are just purely my own opinion based off of my personal experience working in a telco account. Okay, I just want to be clear on that. So newbies tend to quit even before they're endorsed, or at least 1 to 6 months after they got endorsed in the production floor. So you may wonder, how did this happen? So I believe that there are 3 typical reasons why they quit. The first reason is because they found out that the account is toxic or difficult. So, like for example, during their training days or nesting phase, they already know, or they have a gauge already whether the account's going to be difficult or easy, and some of them are not yet that brave enough to continue the fight, so they end up leaving. The second one is they're not used to work in graveyard shift. So as you know, working in a call center can definitely change the way you sleep, especially because all of us here in the Philippines are like sleeping at night, of course. But if you're working in a call center company, our clients are based off of US, so what's morning in the Philippines is like evening in their end. So since we're working in the morning, it has to be at night here in the Philippines. So yeah, if you're not used to working in such condition, then you may end up quitting your job soon. And then number 3 is they're a student and couldn't balance work and study. So I get to receive a lot of, comment from people or from students who are trying to look for a job, for a full-time job, while they're studying at the same time. And it really is hard to balance working and studying, so they really have to pick one. And most of the time, studying is like better than working, because you may end up working for the rest of your life after you study, but I hope you wouldn't. All right, but those are the typical reasons that I get to see why it is possible for them to like quit their job early on. And that is also based off what I see, me working in a call center company. Imagine in my case, like we started off of 25 people in one team, and like after 2 years there are only 2 people left, and that is me as well as my friend Belle. So other teammates of ours are like doing other things already. All right. Now, the second con that I get to notice is that they're pretty strict with the process. You need to be perfect to avoid coaching logs, escalations, etc. So there's no such thing as perfect human being, because we are people, we make mistakes. But in this particular account, this is just an opinion of mine, and I believe this varies from the company that you work for or the policies that they have in place. It is like a case-to-case basis. I'm not saying that this is exactly what is going to happen in the account that you're handling. Again, you still have to follow what they have in place, and please make sure to take all of this as something that is just my opinion, and take this with a grain of salt. Okay, so yes, this is something that I really wanted to emphasize, because I make a lot of mistakes, and I'm still surviving thanks to my TL or to our operations managers, who get to always make me still be part of the team despite my mistakes. So one of the tips that I want to share with you guys is to make sure to follow the process as it is. It's for me, it's better for you to have the tractors, rather than you've got promoters but you disobey the policies that they have in place. Okay. Now, con number three that I get to notice is that just like any type of job security is not 100% guaranteed in this account. So yes, BPO companies are like super strong. Like despite the pandemic, we are still standing tall. But the reason why I said that it is not 100% guaranteed that this particular account is like secure is because of this particular three reasons that I have. One is you can be terminated regardless of how well you perform. If you committed a mistake, or let's say multiple mistakes, that they consider zero tolerance. So even if you are the best of all the best, if you made multiple mistakes, like multiple misleading misleading issues and things like that, you may still end up losing your job. Even those that has title can lose their job, not just those agent levels. Okay, so that's the reason why I told you to be careful with the process and follow it strictly. Number two is if the account closed due to certain factors, you and the rest of the people working in that account will lose their job too. So I think the best term for that is dissolved account. So kapag na-dissolve yung account nyo because of certain matter, for example, fraudulent related or things like that, nalugi yung company na pinagtatrabahuhan mo, you and the rest of the team will lose their job. But of course, there are other opportunities out there that you can take advantage, especially if you're working in a telco account. Mas mataas yung offer and they really value you if you came from a telco account. Number three is if you're holding a position in that account and it closed, you'll also lose that title. So despite the fact that you're an operations manager or an associate director or a team leader in that particular account, if that particular account closed out, you will end up not having that title if you apply in a different companies. You may start off of as, for example, you probably can start as a TL if you transfer over to a different company and things like that. But the title that you have, you may lose that, okay? But again, that's case to case basis, okay? And then con number four is if you want promotion, learn to not just perform well, but also learn how to work with people and with your bosses. You can't have just one of those. It has to be both. So in order for you to be promoted, you have to perform. Like you have to have a passing metric in the last 3 to 6 months at least. And then you also have to work well with your bosses because your bosses need to know you. Your bosses need to like talk to you, get to notice you and things like that. So if you're a type of person who gets gets along well with your bosses and things like that, then they may be able to notice you early on and they may promote you and things like that. And then it's not really a con, right? It's just mainly an advice that you should follow if you want promotion. Now, the last con that I have for you is you can't stand working in this account if you're not flexible with your schedule and not a good follower of the rules set. So, in my experience, you really have to be pretty flexible because again, the time changes just like in any other accounts. Actually, in retail account, that you really have to be flexible in that account because your shift can really change dramatically. Whereas in this particular account I'm working with, it's like the schedule doesn't really change on a daily or a weekly basis, which is pretty good. And if you're a good followers of the rules set, then you're good to go. There's actually no need to worry about staying in that company and things like that because everything will come into place so long as you follow everything. So yeah, that's it. That is it, you guys. I hope you've learned something from this video. If you have questions, feel free to write that down. If you like this video, give this video a thumbs up. I'll see you again next time. Bye.